A very good evening and a warm welcome to Personal Finance. I'm Gugulethu Cele. Well, today I'm joined in our Cape Town studios by Guy Denichaud, who's a technical specialist and risk analyst at Santam, who will tell us more about how we can safeguard our homes, especially during severe weather damage. And I take it this is the season for floods, for potential fires, and even further damage, Guy. But just how often do South African consumers take it for granted that they need to put preventative measures in place?
Yes, Gugulethu, the challenges that we face are multidimensional. It is so important that we take the onus of protection ourselves, and with the lightning strike increases and as you said, the climate change on us, we are experiencing a lot more adverse weather conditions, and it is very critical that we start putting certain protocols and protections in place that will look after our personal properties and belongings and reduce those losses. In the long term, it will stand us in good stead as well in the short term.
Let's touch on some of those features you've alluded to: lightning, floods, hailstorm damage. What preventative measures can consumers put in place?
Well, Gugulethu, let's start from the outside in. You know, if you own a thatch home, and the first point of call, if you're in a high lightning area, a mast would be a very good protection measure inside your home, where you've got a lot of electronic equipment, and even those people that have businesses at home, basically they would have to put some form of surge protection that can at least deflect or change the current coming into their homes. You must remember, this has got a far-reaching effect, because a lightning strike, for example, can take out your security systems, which adds a whole new dimension to the protection of one's property.
You've mentioned thatched roofed homes, but what about for those living in sectional title or even full title homes with regular material being used in the construction of these facilities? Are there further steps that they can put in place inside their homes?
Absolutely. As I said before, our whole lives is driven around an electronic base. All our appliances and our TVs and our modems and things like that are all basically connected. Even your geyser and various other aspects in your home are all connected to an electrical system. Your DB board is your main catalyst going into your home. That is why it's so important to have surge protection on your DB board. You know, one can also put in tertiary protection advices in your on your equipment itself, like surge protection plugs, that if there's a surge, then they will immediately kick out and protect your electronic equipment.
Something that we often don't pay too much attention to is the threat of a fire. I'm not too sure how many South Africans have fire extinguishers in their homes, but clearly this number needs to increase, right?
Absolutely. As I said before, the onus of the protection of your property should lie in the person's hands. And you must remember that even a small short within one's home can create a devastating fire. It is early warning detection, which can be picked up by either smoke detectors or carbon monoxide detectors. And then, of course, the ability to protect or react to that fire, which would be early warning systems that are driven towards, that are linked to either fire brigades or to protection agencies. And, of course, the person in the home that can utilize a fire extinguisher and nip that fire in the bud before it even starts.
For individuals who look after their homes, I'm sure there might be some loopholes that they don't actually manage to target. Is it ever an option to get an expert like yourself to come into one's home and do an analysis?
Absolutely. In this day and age, it's actually becoming critical. I think there are more and more companies that are springing up that provide these services. Not only that, is that the installation of all these devices come with legislation. A lightning mast has very, very specific legislation to it. It is bound by the South African National Standards Authority, and only a licensed provider can put it in. And it is certified. So you're absolutely correct. I wouldn't say, in essence, loopholes, but one has to adhere to the laws that pertain to these certain rules and regulations around the equipment that is put in.
Given the fact that all South African consumers tend to worry about their back pockets and the change therein, what are the cost implications of some of the measures that you've highlighted that we can put in place?
Now, I'm glad you asked that question for the simple reason is that it's the same with, whether one buys a middle-class car or a very expensive motor car. As you well expect that you can get state-of-the-art systems. However, a good mid-range system that protects your property should not be very expensive, especially if you consider the fact that if you measure it against the losses that could occur and the inconveniences, the price overall is very small to pay.
I also take it this highlights the need for insurance cover to make sure that you're covered in terms of any potential danger that might happen.
Absolutely. Insurance cover is paramount. Insurance is actually a risk transfer mechanism where the insurance company assumes that risk. But everybody understands that the price of replacement is going up. Premiums do go up annually. And, an insurance company will be very favorable to somebody who has taken a lot of time and effort to protect their own property, because it does reduce the risk considerably.
What about the importance of updating your insurance policies, or even alerting them to some of the changes and measures that you've put in place, especially when it comes to surge protection and the like? Well, could that possibly reduce insurance premiums, or does it have an impact on your insurance cover should you fail to inform them?
Absolutely. It's absolutely critical that you keep up to date with your insurance cover. You must remember that in certain areas where the lightning is very, very high, the insurance companies will either place an excess or underwrite it or even exclude cover. And this is the chance or the opportunity for a client to, in mitigating or reducing the risk, he can also keep his premium pretty level and not have it escalate. But at the same time, it also reflects very well in his overall loss ratio at the end of the year after each cycle.
Guy, maybe if you can walk us through some typical examples that you might have come across, the worst case scenario. I take it some people tend to see a fire and potentially lose everything.
There's a few examples. One of the things that is not taken into consideration is the insurance companies are looking to pay claims. And what is not measured often is the inconvenience of a person who has been paid out to spend all that time and effort to find the replacement goods and install it and get everything back up to speed. In a business, a small business that's been run from home, a person could be earning X amount rate per hour, and they're going to be spending a large portion of time getting their business or their burnt property or their property that's been affected by the lightning up and running again. And that downtime is often not measured, and it is often very costly.
Guy, we've certainly said quite a bit, but let's give the viewers a quick recap of tonight's key takeaway points.
Certainly.
Guy, if you can run us through some of the most important themes that some of our viewers need to take cognizance of tonight. We know that you can't predict the weather, but I'm sure you can put certain measures in place to protect against future losses.
The first instance is to find out what your risk really is. If you're in a high lightning belt or you have a thatch home, it is always advisable to contact the experts and let them come and do an analysis of your home with regard to protection. In a domestic home, it is always advisable, even though the terms are not asked for, to have an electrical certificate issued every 5 years, just to make sure that your electrical system is up and it meets the standards. Those with thatch homes should have the protection devices in, like fire detection, either carbon monoxide detection, and of course simple things like spark arresters in chimneys, as well as fire extinguishers at hand to cater for the small fires.
Thank you so much for your time today, Guy. Certainly teaching us quite a bit as to the measures that we can put in place in order to mitigate against potential losses which might be caused by dire weather conditions. Well, a big thank you to Guy Denichaud, who's a technical specialist and risk analyst at Santam. Be sure to tell us your stories and share your thoughts with us. You can contact us by sending us your tweets and suggestions to @CNBC Africa using the hashtag Personal Finance 410, or alternatively to myself at Gugulethu. Until next time, take care everyone.